What's this? Back-to-back live stream? That's right. I wanted to do another one. I wanted to do two back-to-back. And the reason is because June is already almost over. Again, I can't believe how fast this month has gone by. Once a year, we get a month to celebrate our identities. And keep in mind, there is a spectrum of identities. You know, it goes anywhere from gay, bi, trans, straight with queer fantasies and tendencies, just asexual, non-binary, whatever it is, it's a celebration of all identities. That's the way I see it. That's what I see Pride Month as being. So with it almost being over, I want to make sure that I get more videos like this in, more messages out there for everybody who has time to tune in and hear them, because my intention in them is to empower and enlighten people with them. It's always been a core message of my show, you know, to strengthen and empower people. You know, being open and honest about myself and making people feel pride about who they are. And that's what this stream is going to be about. It is going to be about being proud of who you are, because it's 2024 and I still hear from people, not just people in person, but like my own fans who tell me that they're still embarrassed about who they are and what they like. And what I mean is, like, there's people in my audience who are gay and they're ashamed and embarrassed and still hiding the fact that they're gay. And then there's people that have, you know, interests or fetishes, and they feel the need to hide those because they're embarrassed or ashamed about them, even though the ones they're talking about happen to be harmless. And again, this is a really big core message of my channel. It's like, be you and don't be ashamed of who you are. However, there is one thing I'm going to say, and that is, I understand with some people, the embarrassment and humiliation is exciting for them. All right, like, I am going to interject and say that just because, you know, I get commission for videos all the time, and some of them, like, people like to be, you know, they like to be made to feel embarrassed and humiliated for their orientation or what they're into. And obviously this video is not talking about that. Like, if that's what you like, that's totally cool, and I completely understand it. And I do film video commissions like that, and it's helped me learn more about that with people. So that's A-okay. But this, what I'm talking about here, it's not applying to that. It's for people who, they are gay and they wish they could be open about it and not be judged about it and not live in fear about it. Or they're into something that they have a big interest in, but they're afraid, you know, they're like humiliated by it, or they try to like turn it off, or they don't want anybody to know about it. And understand too, you know, when I say be proud and open about what you like, I'm not necessarily saying like be loud and proud. Like, don't go out, you don't need to go out and buy a t-shirt that says like, hey, this is what I'm into. You don't need to wear a t-shirt that says like, hey, show me your feet or something, for example, you know. You don't need to like go up to everybody you know and be like, hey guys, guess what? I'm trying to be more open, so I'm into this and I want you all to know. Like, you don't necessarily have to go that far. Or you don't have to like create a YouTube account that's just for something you're into and just spam comments about it all over YouTube. I don't recommend that, as a matter of fact. I'm just saying, like, be comfortable in your own skin and just, you know, be open and accepting about yourself. And this is a really big part about it too. Do not let other people make you not feel proud or comfortable about yourself. In this one, I understand this one is really hard for some people, because I'm including parents in this. I'm including religion in this, or like politics, because there's a lot of people that they would maybe be more open, but their parents wouldn't accept them for it. And of course, that's really unfair, because it's like, those are your parents, man. Like, you would want your parents to be proud of you, right? I think any kid would. Even if you're like grown now, you still want your parents to love and accept you. But here's the thing though. You don't need your parents to validate your identity. All right? That might be hard to accept, but it's the truth, man. If your parents are from a different time and they refuse to change with the times and understand, hey, having a gay kid is not a bad thing, and they can still love you and accept you for who you are and who you're into, that's what they should be doing. And if not, that shouldn't change you from being you. Here's the thing, you can't change yourself and who you are and what you like. You also can't change your parents. You cannot force your parents to see the light. And it's not your job to do that. They should have been raised right by their parents, all right? And it's their job to raise you. It's not your job to raise your parents and make them understand, hey, you need to just, you need to accept this. There's not really much you can do about it. The best thing you can do is not hide the truth, just let them know. Because, like I'll use me as an example too. I'm very open about the fact that I've had bisexual experiences in life. And I enjoyed them, both with guys and with girls. My parents know that. They know all about that. My family knows this is what I do for a living. They know I'm a social media influencer and I get paid for custom videos. They know this is what I do. And everybody I've met in life knew it too. When I was working at restaurants before I started doing this full time, everybody knew I had a channel and a website and who I was and what I was into. I told everybody, like, hey man, check out my channel, subscribe if you want, and participate on it if you want. And as you saw, I had a lot of friends in the beginning who were part of this with me. Those were all friends I met organically at restaurant jobs I worked at. And just people I met along the way. Like, I've always been open about who I am and, what I like to do, but I wasn't like too loud about it either. I didn't like force it onto people. I wasn't like creepy or weird about it, because that's a big thing too. And that might even be like a whole other discussion, honestly. It's just, there is a right way to, to be open about something. Like, I've actually had a couple people over the years reach out to me in like video comments or even like fan messages. And they're like, hey, Primal, I saw the Stink Pit Gladiators video you filmed with your friends. I understand you guys were just having fun. And they'll say, I happen to find that kind of thing enjoyable, and I'm looking for a not awkward or weird way of doing that with my friends. Like, how do I do that? And I would try to give them advice. I'd be like, well, you just be cool about it, man. I came up with this scenario. Wrestle with your friend and try to put your armpit in their face and be like, oh yeah, you're getting the stink pit. And if they find it funny and fun, they'll try to do it back to you, and then there you go. Then you can just entertain that in a friendly way. I've actually had friends over the years that I've done stuff like that with. I remember I had one friend, and we were hanging out. This is when I lived in an apartment, and I was still living in the Southwest. I was younger then than I am now. We were hanging out, and we were both sitting on the couch, and I like laid down because I was kind of tired. And he started like rubbing. He had his socks on. He started like rubbing his feet on my face. It was like, just like kind of playfully bullying me. He's like, oh, that's gross. Take that. I'm putting my feet on your face. And I was laughing. I was like, hey, stop. And like, it was just, like just something like that. Just like a little casual fun between friends, without making it too awkward or weird. And you see how I filmed like those videos, like the My Strange Addiction ones, where I was smelling shoes and stuff and asking all my friends for shoes. Like imagine that, like imagine I go up to all my friends and all the people at work that I consider buddies, and I'm asking them like, hey man, do you have an old pair of shoes I can have? And they're like, they all know about my channel. Like, oh yeah, okay, you're gonna use it for one of your funny slash identity videos. Sure, man. Cause like, I'm open about it and I'm comfortable about it. And here's a really big important part about the point I'm trying to make. If you are open about it and comfortable about it, it's going to show. If you're confident and you're accepting and understanding of yourself, that's going to show to other people. It's not going to turn out being like an awkward or like weird or creepy request. It's not going to be like, hey man, do you have any like shoes I can have? Not to like smell or anything. You know what I'm saying? Like it's going to show. Like if you're confident and accepting of yourself, that's going to be put off to other people, and then be like, oh, okay, that's just him. That's just who he is. He's cool. I like him. I understand him. He understands himself. And really, like, like people aren't judging you because we're all people, man. We're all the same way. Not everybody's gonna do what I do, and like create a channel and just be like, hey, I'm gonna tell the world who I am, and hopefully reach people in the world so they can be comfortable in their skin just like I am in mine. But it's just like I don't know, man. It just really makes me feel good to do that. All the messages I hear from people that tell me that just hearing my words have made them more confident in who they are, help them understand better who they are. Like some people didn't know that asexual is a thing, and then they hear me talk about it in videos and like, oh my God, that's me. Now I know who I am. Like I've gone my whole life confused and not understanding, but now it makes more sense. And I mean, it really helps to learn about stuff like that, especially when it's not taught to you in school. And if you are brought up in a situation, an unfortunate one, where your own family might not accept you just because you're gay or bi or transgender or whatever it is, because, when they were brought up, it's like, oh, well, that's not normal. That's not good. And especially with the religion thing too, like that's a tough one. It's always ironic when I meet somebody who's gay, but they're wearing like a cross and they go to church, and it's just like, you do realize like that religion believes that people like you are sinners or sodomites or wrong and need saved, right? Like it's just so ridiculous how it's still that way. They refuse to budge on that belief. But I'm not making this about divisive things like religion or politics, because I'm not religious or political, and I don't like divisive stuff like that, and that's why. But I'm just saying, like, don't let stuff like your parents' outdated beliefs or religion make you feel inferior as a person, and that your identity is not valid, and that you should feel any shame to being that way. Okay? Because, like, let's be honest, people that are gay, you don't choose to be gay. You don't decide one day like, you know what? I'm just gonna be that. I'm just gonna be this. Like you don't get like a book at birth. A doctor doesn't hand you a book and say, okay, son, so how tall do you want to be? What sexual orientation do you want? Go ahead and select it, and that is what you will grow to be. Like you are who you are. You don't get to change that, and you are like that for life. And this is the one life we get to live. All right, we are alive right now. Life is a gift. We are living the gift, and we're living it together. We are alive on the same timeline. You get to be around to hear me, to have somebody who cares, and to come up and say this, because I want to try to make a difference in your life and everybody's life who's listening. So remember my words the next time, I don't know, your family says something unsupportive, or something about religion offends you because it's saying something bad about you, who you are. Or even if you read like an intolerant comment online, because that's always going to happen. It's impossible to completely stomp out hate and intolerance. It's just one of those little annoyances that's going to exist no matter what. But you have to be stronger than it. You can't give people like that power over you. You can't give them power over your emotions. You can't let them make you feel ashamed and inferior, and that your identity is bad or not valid, because who are they? Like, I'm telling you how it really is, because I don't have that kind of stigma. Like, I get to live free of those stigmas. I see right through them. I see things from a big picture perspective. It's just like, wow, I can't believe like people, like there's still countries out there where it's illegal to be gay. Like there's people who get stoned to death because they're gay in countries. And again, like, I'm not homosexual, but I have enjoyed bisexual encounters with people, and I'm proud of that. And there ain't nothing wrong with it, That's the point I want to try to make, is be you no matter what. All right. And it doesn't only have to be in June. It's Pride Month, but we don't have to wait until June every year to come around to be like, okay, this is the month I can celebrate me and be comfortable with who I am. It should be every month. It should be every day. And it should be for the rest of your life. And no matter what other negative force out there, it should never have any control over you. The only time you should feel embarrassed or humiliated is if you happen to be into that, which again, I completely understand. I've filmed enough video commissions like that to know. Some people like to be called the F word, the 3-letter F word. All right? I don't use that word in public, but if somebody's paying me a commission and that's what they like to hear, they'll hear it, and I completely understand. But this is only going out to people who don't like they don't like words like that. They don't like to be ashamed. They don't like to be humiliated or embarrassed. They just want to be themselves. They just want to live and be happy. They want to be treated like people, like they should be. The rights they should have just as being people. And it's still crazy to me that what I think is should be basic people's rights are even political. What? That's just really stupid to me. I mean, just let people be, man. Just let people be. As long as it's harmless, it's not hurting anybody, leave them alone. I still can't even believe that things like racism and sexism are actually a thing. It's just crazy that people can actually be that way. But it's the world we live in. But again, don't let it get to you, all right? I will be your voice. I'll be your inspiration. I'll sit here for years and years to come telling everybody, hey, I like things. I've had experiences with several types of different people, and I had a good time, and I have no shame in it. And let me tell you this too, guys. Remember how I said that my family knows what I do? And everybody I've worked with, before I did this full time, all the restaurants I worked with, the people I worked with at restaurants before this, they all knew who I was, what I liked, and then I have this channel and the linked website. They all saw it. They all knew me. And guess what? Not a single person treated me badly. Not a single person ever said anything rude or disrespectful. Nobody treated me as less of a person. Nobody treated me like a freak. I still got invited to the group restaurant activities, even though I don't really do the big group activities though. I don't really hang out in cliques. I still got invited though. I still had plenty of friends, as you saw. I got invited to play basketball. I got invited to play video games. In fact, I actually piqued some people's curiosities. I actually had some people at these restaurants come up to me and say, hey man, so I saw your video about smelling shoes and it was really funny. I'm kind of the same way. I'm like, oh, really? Cool. Yeah, so, would you want to hang out and play sports sometime? There was somebody that actually did that. And I ended up, I've never really been good at tennis, but he was real good at tennis. But I ended up hanging out with him, and we went to this tennis court. He let me borrow his racket, and we played tennis together for a while, and it was pretty hot out. And then on the drive back, he's driving, and he takes off his shoe. He's like, here, do you want to smell it? I was like, sure. And I smelled his shoe as we were driving, and I was like, you want to smell mine? He's like, yeah. And I gave him mine. And like I said, we weren't being weird about it. We weren't being like, oh yeah, that's so hot. We were keeping it cool. We're keeping it casual, because remember, that's how I like to do it. And apparently he did too. We're on the same level, right? But it turned out being a little bit different though, because his shoes didn't really smell that bad. I thought that was kind of boring. My shoe was a little too stinky for him. He was just like, whoa, that's some stink. I was like, well, is it too much for you? And he's like, yeah, I like it just kind of mildly smelly. I was like, oh, I think the smellier the better. I was like, yours are kind of mild. So isn't that interesting though? It's like, even when you find somebody that happens to have the same interest, there's different levels of it too. And ours just happened to be opposite. It was the same, but not quite the same. There's just so many nuances to life, isn't there? But that's just the way it is. But yeah, just cool stuff like that. And then I had a girl, I actually had 2 different girls when I was working at restaurants come up to me, and they're just like, so you don't use deodorant? I'm like, yeah, I'm the no deo hero, that's right. That's why I'm called that. And that fascinated them, because they're like, I like the way that guys naturally smell. And and they wanted to hang out with me, and like, they wanted to hang out and they wanted to smell my armpits. I'm like, I think that's really cool. I'm down. So it brought me fun experiences from guys and girls, and there were fun experiences for me. And guess what? They wouldn't have happened had I not been open in myself. Had I not been myself, they wouldn't have known that, and we wouldn't have had those experiences. And by me being open about it, I bet it made them feel better about who they were. I bet it made them feel less weird that they happen to like smelly shoes or, the natural smell of a man, whatever it is. I even had a couple guys at work. They're just like, hey man, I saw your breath holding videos. I want to come over sometime and see how long I can hold my breath underwater with you. And I was like, okay, cool. That sounds fun. We can give it a try. Like by comfortably being yourself, that's what's going to happen, man. Other people are going to see it because my reach wasn't just online. You see, like, it was even happening in person at the restaurant I worked at. It was like other people I worked at were seeing that, and they're being like, oh, I'm the same way. And I remember one of the guys I worked with, I had asked him for his old shoes when he was done with them, because I was going to film another one of those like shoe smelling videos. And it was, I was like, yeah, I asked him, I was like, hey, do you still have those, I see you got new shoes, you still have those old ones? He's like, oh, are you going to film another one of those videos? I was like, yeah. And he's like, oh, shoot. He's like, I actually threw those ones away, man, my bad. He's like, those shoes would have been a pair to die smelling, though. I thought that was really funny that he said that, because like, he knows, you know what I mean? Like, he was cool. He was totally cool about it. He knows why I wanted him. But if you're cool, people will be cool back to you. If you're honest, people will appreciate your honesty, man. Because like, the thing about it is, I completely understand if you're nervous or uncomfortable or shy or, embarrassed, but the people who hide that stuff, those are typically the people like you got to watch out for. Those are the ones that will, like, you'll read a news story about, they have something they're into and they're like, they keep it to themselves and then they try to like creepily entertain it. You know what I mean? Like, I've always been open and honest, and it's harmless stuff. And that's why everybody in person and online receives it so well from me. And that's how I managed to make friends before, where, we're making each other smell each other's armpits and holding each other's breath and stuff like that. Because they're responding to that openness and that pride and those harmless interests that I'm comfortable about. But on the other side of that, there's people that maybe the stuff that they're into is not harmless. And, or maybe they just, instead of being open and cool about it, they keep it to themselves, and then they try to find like a creepy way of entertaining it by, trying to trick people into entertaining it in a creepy way. And then they find out about it, and it's like, okay, you're a creep, and then that's going to give them a bad name. It's like, there's definitely a right way to go about it. So it all comes down to pride. Be yourself, as long as it's harmless. That's very important. I always put that out there too. All right, as long as it's harmless. If you're not hurting anybody, if you're not hurting yourself, and you're just being yourself, people will respond well. So for those fans who are asking me, like, man, how do you get your friends to give you their shoes like that when they know you're going to smell them? How do you get your friends to make each other smell each other's armpits like that? Or how do you get your friends to tickle you like that? I'm really into being tickled. How do you get people to do that? Like me personally, like, tickling's not a thing that I'm into. It's just, I'm real ticklish and it's funny. And my friends had a lot of fun taking advantage of that at my expense. And it made for some funny videos, let's be honest. But it's like, just be yourself, man, and be cool about it. Just don't be weird about it. Don't be creepy about it. It's like, if it's not hurting anybody and they're your friend, they're going to respond well to you. And you'll find out, like, life is a lot more enjoyable when you don't have to hide who you are. We don't have to live in fear. We don't have to keep everything under wraps. When you don't have to try to be who you think society wants you to be. you just get to be yourself. And that's even, like I was saying in the live stream right before this, it's all about being myself. Like Alpha Primal is not a persona. It's not an act I'm putting on. In like the slapstick, Primal Instincts, the goofy side, that's not an act. Like that's my personality. Like I'm a fiery intellectual with a sense of humor. That's my overall personality. You know, I'm not serious all the time, but I'm also not a goofball all the time. I'm an excellent blend of both, and I'm like that in person too. In person, I'm the exact same as you're seeing and hearing me now on camera. And people like that, you know? They like the blend. And it's like, I feel like my fans are the same way too. Like, they like the overall personality. I do know that some fans like Alpha Primal more, and then I know some fans like the slapstick, like the goofy comedy side more, but I think overall people like they like that duality. They like that dynamic balance. The best of both worlds, right? I hope so, because that's just me being me. I've been me since the start. I have never come up on camera and said what I think people want to hear. Like, I've never just said what I think will get me the most likes, subscribers, and money. I've never done that. I've never put on like a fake YouTube influencer personality on camera. I've always been myself. You know, it's like if I feel the topic is a funny one, then I'll put on a comedic personality. If it's a serious one, I'm going to be serious, and I'm always going to be honest along the way. And if I respond to somebody's comment, I'm going to also speak from the heart. Like, I'm not going to give you like a corny, like mainstream YouTuber response. I'm going to actually answer your question honestly. I'm going to share how I really feel. And I think that honesty and openness is what has made this possible for me to do this as long as I have. Is like people, they can tell that I'm being honest and real. They can tell I'm not just like putting on a front. I'm not trying to take advantage of anybody. I'm not trying to exploit anybody for money. I'm not doing this because I don't want to have to work a job. It's like I would rather make an impact on people around the world the way I do, instead of make a greedy corporation rich, like a restaurant chain, you know, just being a little cog in a restaurant chain wheel, making rich people already richer who don't really care about me. They just want to make sure their company gets richer. Like, I would rather enrich a community of people, especially alternative people like me, who are wired a little bit differently and who have unique interests and who look to me to be a voice and a leader to tell you, like, hey, I get it because I'm the same way, you know? Like, we're all in the same boat here. We're all paddling towards the same goal. I'm at the front of the boat, man. We all got oars. We're all paddling there together. I'm at the front of the boat, and I'm shouting out encouragement and reminding everybody that this upstream that we're going, it's worth it, man. We're going in the right direction, and stay on this path with me. We will keep going in this direction, and I'm going to keep being here and doing this for you. And it's worth it to me, man. Like, I totally just stopped working part-time at a restaurant, and you know, it's, what's the saying, like, go for broke? It's like, let's do it, man. Let's put everything into this. Sure, I'm not making as much money as I used to because I was getting a lot of tip money waiting tables, but it's not only about the money. It's about the impact. It's like, I feel so much better about doing this than I did just waiting tables. This means more to me. Even though, like, all my tables would thank me and tell me how great my service was, and I made really good tips, and I would have people come in and recommend me all the time, like, hey, can I sit in his section? This is where my heart is. This is a seed I planted 8.5 years ago, and I've watched it grow, and it continues to grow, and I want to continue watering it as best as I can. Blood, sweat, and tears. I will water this seed with my sweat. But that's how I feel, and that's why I'm here, and that's why I like to do this, man. And yeah, I have 100% pride in who I am. And the reason I bring this up is it honestly does kind of hurt to hear that there are still people out there that are, I mean, in 2024, they're embarrassed about being gay or bi or having harmless fetishes or anything like that, man. Like, you don't need to feel that way, all right? I mean, I know I can't just say those words and make those feelings magically disappear, but I hope it makes you feel at least a little more comfort. in who you are. I hope it helps you take steps, at least, to feel more comfortable in your own skin. Because I was not always understanding of who I am and completely accepting of what I am. Because, in high school, it was real confusing for me. Like I've said in other streams and videos before, I only ever dated girls, but I would also find some of the guys at school attractive, just like the girls. And that was real confusing to me. It's like, well, I'm not gay. I'm not a homosexual. Like, why do I feel that way? Why do I sometimes have these, like, certain fantasies that I do with guys, just like I do with girls? Never like intercourse, because I'm not really wired to be a breeder. I'm what you would call asexual in that sense. But I do have interests that I like. I do have things that excite me. And I do have fantasies and stuff. So youth was a confusing time for me. So I completely get it. And it wasn't until I learned what asexual is, because they don't teach you that in school. And then all of a sudden I'm like, well, wait a minute. There's nothing wrong with me. They just don't teach this. Like, society just kind of tries to tell you, like, you're either A or B. And if not, then you're a freak. That's basically what society tells you, isn't it? They don't teach you that in school. You're not going to learn that from your parents. And it's kind of sad that I had to learn my identity from reading stuff on the internet, because my parents couldn't tell me. My school didn't teach me. Isn't that what we pay taxes to schools to educate our kids, right? But in my school, it's not something I learned. My parents didn't know about it. Some of the stuff is like still fairly new. Like we're understanding it. But I did read that something like asexual, they're considering making it like a 100% legitimate orientation, because so many people identify that way. It's like, okay, well, I'm not interested in marriage or intercourse, but I do still have fantasies and things that excite me, and I do still get off. Like there's so much more to identity. That's what June's all about. But again, I don't want this to only be a June thing. I make sure to come up and post videos like this during June, because it is a month dedicated to identity. But I want identity to be celebrated every month. I want every day to be a day that you and me feel proud of who we are and be okay with it. That's what I want. I want every day to be a celebration of life and identity. And no shame, and no humiliation, of course, unless you're into that. I'm going to put that in there again, just because I get it. I know some people like that, and that's totally cool. But for the most part, we are who we are. It's not going to change, okay? Our identity is not going to change. Those interests that we have, we're going to have them for life. Might as well accept them now. Might as well get comfortable with them now. If they're harmless. If they're not harmless, that's a little bit different. That's a little harder. I know. I don't really have any advice for that just yet, except obviously don't do anything that's going to hurt yourself or anybody. But yeah, man, especially when it just comes down to identity, just be you, man. Just do you. That's the best advice I can give. I'm going to continue being me, and I love being me. And I hope you guys love being yourselves too. And I hope that I help you love yourselves. And nothing is more of a great personal experience than getting to film custom videos for my fans. It's such a personal experience to me, because I do get to learn more about people, even though I don't know who the people are, and I don't need to know that. Just knowing that another person out there who found me and relates to me in a way, and finds me enjoyable, they're like, hey, this is what I like. I'll pay you to film this for me. I'm like, yes, that would be cool. Like that's the ultimate comfort and understanding. You understand me, I understand you, and we're totally cool with that. You're supporting me, it benefits me. I'm doing something for you, it makes you feel good, and it also makes me feel good too to do that. It's like it's a two-way street. It's the coolest thing, man. When I first started this channel, there were no video commissions. There wasn't even a payment service to donate or send money. It was just friends having fun on camera. But then an audience found me, and they related to me and the things that I was open about liking. And they're like, hey, is there any way I can pay you to film some videos? Is there any way I can support you I said no the first couple times, but then I warmed up to it, and I'm so glad I did, because here we are 8.5 years later, and now it's my life. Like, this is my life now. I wake up every day, I check my email, I'm like, oh, did I get any emails? Did I get to film any video commissions for people? Am I sending clothing to anybody today? Anyone want any behind the scenes extras? Anybody leave any comments on my videos? I get to talk to people. Yeah, it's a daily enjoyment for me, and that's why it is my life now. So, man, the one wish I have is that I know people are busy in life, and a lot of people don't have time to tune into YouTube regularly. And the way YouTube works, like, if you don't visit YouTube for several days, you miss several days worth of content that all your subscribed channels post. And I wish everybody had the time to, like, watch everything I post, but I know, like, a lot of people are missing this message right now. I have 10,000 subscribers, over 10,000. This video is not going to get 10,000 views. It doesn't work like that with anybody on YouTube. I mean, look at like some of the top YouTubers that have like 1 million subscribers. Do their videos all get 1 million views? No, not even close. Not even like 100,000 sometimes. And they have 1 million subscribers. But that's just because people are busy in life. They can't commit to watching YouTube every day. They can't watch every video that a creator posts. But with a message like this that I feel is really important, that everybody could benefit from hearing, it's like, I wish there was a bigger way to broadcast it to make sure everybody hears it. Because it's coming from the heart, and I genuinely wanted to make a positive impact. So for everybody who has tuned in and did hear it, I really hope it did something for you. It is going to stay on the channel, so anybody can like go back through and be like, oh, hey, look, a live stream I missed. I want to listen to that, and hopefully that's the case too. You know, whether you're watching it live or you're going back and watching it after I had already filmed it, I hope it makes an impact. I hope it has the intended effect, and man, just be proud of you, all right? And thank you for staying with me so long for the ride, because there's so much more in store. And please let me know if I can film a custom video for you, because I genuinely love doing it. You know, I can sell my clothing if you're interested in that, if you live in the US, that is. And there's a lot of behind the scenes extras, you know. Go a little extra with your support. I always have something extra. I don't just, you know, it should be clear, like, I don't just ask people for money. I always give back to people who give to me. I'm not just, you know, you see those annoying YouTubers that are just like, oh, subscribe to my Patreon, or here, send me a tip. And it's like, what do you get in return? Your name in the credits at the end of the video? No, I make it more personal. I will film a video just for you. I will send you my clothing that I wear, not some corny, like, third-party t-shirt that's got my logo on it. It is actually worn by me. It smells like me. I go above and beyond for my fans because the connection is a lot more personal than a mainstream YouTuber. Like, I'm underground for a reason, man. I'm here for the right reason. I'm not here to get popular and, you know, I don't agree with like the whole mainstream YouTube thing, man. Like, my connection with my fans is a lot more personal. It's a lot more relative, and I wouldn't want it any other way. I would never trade my underground status and cult following of true relative fans. I would never trade that for mainstream recognition, or, you know, being on YouTube's front page, or having like 1 million subscribers and having like memes in the comments instead of, you know, trendy comments instead of like ones from people who genuinely relate to me. So thank you for that. That's the way it's going to stay. That's the way I like it. And I like you for who you are. And I hope you have a lot of pride in that. So that's what I had to say in this back-to-back live stream. I hope it made a difference. Don't be shy. Send me an email if you'd like a video commission. I am always filming them every day. I'm always available. This is my life now. I've dedicated my life to continuing to have this seed I planted grow, continuing to make a difference on the lives of people all around the world, and continuing to make individual people's lives directly by doing things like filming custom videos just for you. I mean, that's a unique kind of relationship to have with people. And by being on the internet, I can do it with people all around the world. I get to connect with everybody this way. Everybody who happens to find me, and I'm thankful for everybody who does happen to find me and get to have that unique interaction with me. So stay tuned for more. Thank you again. Happy Pride Month while it's still June. Be yourself. Love yourself. I love you. And I love me for who I am. And I'm not going to change. And don't you change either, man. You have that pride. You have that love. Have that self-respect. And you keep doing you. And as long as you do, well, I'm going to keep doing me. So see you in the next one. Take care.